Hello, and welcome to Voices of Change, the podcast that brings you the stories of extraordinary individuals making a difference. I'm Celeste Iyinbo, your host, and today we have a remarkable guest, Father Vitaliy Novak, the chair and driving force behind DePaul Ukraine's humanitarian response. From delivering aid to conflict-stricken areas to his own personal journey, Father Vitaliy's story is a beacon of hope in challenging times. Enjoy the podcast. Welcome, Father Vitali. Thank you for joining us today. To start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from in Ukraine?
I was born in Transcarpathia Mountains, very west of Ukraine, very close to Slovak border. So this is my home there. Mountains. I say to many of my friends that where I'm from, I say I'm son of Carpathian Mountains.
And where do you live now?
Now, before the war started, I was living and my service was run from services and mission from Odessa. And after the war started, I started to move around the whole country. But usually most of my time I spent in Odessa, Kiev and Kharkiv. Between Kharkiv and Odessa, there are Kherson, Odessa, Zaporizhia and Mykolaiv. So this is three most important cities I work and live.
And just to kind of let people know what you do, you work in DePaul. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How did you get into the humanitarian and homelessness sector?
So the homelessness sector, after my ordination, I was sent to work to my first mission that was in Kharkiv. And there I set up as a response to the big problem we see in the city, street homeless children, and we were asked by the local government to be part or to work in partnership with them to help those children on the streets and to find some solutions, to bring some solutions, and how DePaul was born. We invited DePaul from DePaul UK to Ukraine, help us and set up the charity for street children who will be working and helping street children. And I was the first volunteer of DePaul in Ukraine. I was founder of DePaul Ukraine. I was first driver. Then I became a director of DePaul Ukraine. As well, many years I was serving as the chair of DePaul Ukraine. And when the war started, 2022 in February, we opened our we wanted to respond as much as possible with the experience we had for the last 17 years. So we went to the humanitarian area because we saw how big humanitarian crisis is. Just in one night, what's happened to us after the invasion of Russia. So we started to organize this and to organize humanitarian help and aid to those people who were in the biggest needs, like especially on front line, and because Kharkiv was attacked as the first city. In few hours, Russia troops was around Kharkiv. All people ran away and refugees, but mostly those who remained, they were in big crisis because there was no food available, because transport, all system collapsed. Nobody was bringing food to the shops. There was no you could even not able to pay because there were no workers, shops were closed or destroyed. So we started to organize in these areas humanitarian aid for, first of all, food and hygiene for people. And why we became to work on the humanitarian level of our country. This crisis, this war, forced us, because we didn't want to stay indifferent to the situation. We wanted to act in some way, and then as we found ourselves, it was something natural for us to remain with people who suffer and to try to find how to help them.
Can I ask you, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
So it was like, do not lose your internal peace, first of all, and then to be open for advice, for if somebody is telling you not to close yourself, that you know something, you reach something, you have now knowledge, or you mean something. Like, it was to be open all the time for a dialogue, to be open for even confrontation. If somebody says to criticize you or want to tell you something, So to remain open.
That's really good. Really interesting to hear that. So as you said, the war started in 2022 in February. Here we are now in September 2023. Can you tell us what the situation is now in Ukraine?
So situation, if you look on the war scale, so it is the same. And I just returned back from the whole front line, and it's about 1,000 kilometers. There are everyday fights. So it means that the country more and more destroyed. Yes, less and less people have something. Their houses are destroyed as well. So many people still running from the front line because the artillery can reach up to 30 kilometers very easy. This difference, but as well any city. What we see now, it is even much more intensive when they shoot with missiles to the country, like from Lviv, very west city in Ukraine, to every city. They Odessa, very often now. At the beginning last year, it was not so intensive like it is now. So in that space, like the whole infrastructure is more destroyed. Country is more destroyed. People have less resources who left there and live in Ukraine, because many businesses, many factories are not working anymore or are destroyed. So the situation is getting worse because of how long it is, and it is never less active phase of the war on this 1,000 kilometers.
So the people that you're helping and DePaul is helping, do you find that more and more people are coming to you for help?
If we have more and more resources, it will be truth. More people will come to us, but because we are limited in resources, we had to only look and make the categories. Who we can help with the resources we have. Of course, there is, for example, when we open our hotline, we could respond to only every 15 requests. Those people who are answering almost after the categories. Like everybody was calling me, so if you do not belong to this category, we are not able to help you. But even if you belong and you have right to receive help for us and assistance, that it was only every 15% that we could really help. So this overwhelming, the need we see and meet, it is much bigger than we can respond. So if we have more resources, of course, we are able to respond more.
What was life like before the conflict happened in Ukraine, and what's life been like since?
I think before the war, life was like normal life. I think the same life you live here. When you were planning, you had some plans. You know what you're going to do, what you want to achieve. You were traveling, we had our holidays, we had our programs, we had our projects. We wanted to be strong voice in the society. We will voice of the homeless people, on the less privileged people in the society. We were planning and advocating for them as well, helping on them on the streets, organizing different projects and services, as I said. So we had our plans, we had our peaceful life. Only now we value how good it was, this life. And when the war started, everything, of course, it was smashed in 1 minute. We didn't know we will survive or not, how it's going to be, and all our plans just were, somebody decided it has to. No, not that way. And now we are fighting. No, we are fighting. We are helping people just to save their lives, physically lives, because what we do, if we support them with the food, with the first humanitarian aid items that they need for daily life, it means we support them. Some community, for example, in one of the bomb shelters, they said to me that thanks to your help that you provided for us during all these months we stayed in bomb shelter, you didn't allow us to lose our humanity. because he said, can you imagine 300 people underground in the bomb shelter, living day-to-day life? They said, sometimes we saw that before help came, humanitarian help and some humanitarian actions, we started to experience some, animal reflexes or animal behavior between us. But then they said, when you started to bring us humanitarian aid, support us, bring us hope, because with every box of humanitarian help, I said, behind there are some people who are thinking about you, who gathered these funds, bought it, and brought it to you through us as in instruments or tools. But there are people in that way, they express their love, their support, their solidarity. So this was like the most important for them. So of course, like the only wish we have that it will be peace again, that we can continue to return back, but I don't believe it will be the same life after the war, when the war will finish. So, but only wish for every person in Ukraine now that the war will finish, it will be the peace.
Was it quite difficult for you when you took up your role initially? Obviously, you couldn't foresee necessarily what was going to come along. How was it for you personally to kind of adjust to this new reality? Obviously, you knew what you were going to do in your role in DePaul, but then obviously things totally changed. And how was that for you?
So for me, I was thinking like to help, I think a little bit, like I didn't expect so big. The last 6 months, we reached to over 100,000 people. So it was like this scale of support and of me. So it was like incredible. I couldn't believe how people believe and support us. So this accelerate all our actions, and we started to plan where is the need, which cities. I never believed that I will work in cities like Mirhorod, Konotop, all front line, Kherson, Mykolaiv, and Zaporizhia. I was thinking, because focused only these cities and projects we had before the war. But now, thanks to this support and help, we could help more and more people and in many cities in Ukraine.
Do you have any personal stories of any people or situations that you've encountered or met during this whole crisis?
I just said 4 week ago, I've just been in Mykolaiv region. Volodymyr and Natasha, old elderly couple who remained there in Mykolaiv city. So this story was like I am following with them. That indirectly we are like became friends, not only because we supported them with the humanitarian aid or with rebuilding their house, helped them to rebuild. And I remember it was not funny, but in that way I brought him the whole roof to repair the roof because his roof was destroyed, Vladimir. And next day I got phone call. He said, "Do you know, Father Vitali, what you done?" I said, "What?" "Vladimir is in hospital." Oh, I said, "Why?" "Because he was so happy that you were able to bring him this roof. He got a heart attack." It's not because of bad situation. He survived the war. He survived the shelling, but he was so happy, and I said, and so grateful. Like somebody like remembered about me, and it is every story when we come and help people. Like they are so, this would give us hope and support our spirit. If you're there with people and have interest in their life and want to change their destiny, their suffering a little bit more and bring more goodness to this situation. So this is, wherever we go like with this and we meet with people, so there are thousands of these stories.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the work, as you've just said, about what DePaul is doing? So you told us about how you helped to, rebuild the roof, the homelessness, providing shelter, perhaps providing food. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
So we started this to provide this humanitarian aid food boxes at the beginning of the war, especially in these regions. We didn't focus on the main cities because there are other agencies. We went to countryside, to the villages. It was our outreach, we can say. We counted how many people are there. We prepared and we started to bring for them help. It was our outreach, and this still continue in the regions where people are not able to move, where are very dangerous because it is very close to the front line, like Kharkiv region, Zaporozhye region, near Kherson. We are delivering humanitarian aid to the villages and the people. And then during that time, we created humanitarian day centers in Kiev, Kharkiv, Odessa. We set up our hotline where people are getting to contact us, and we tell them when they can come, on which day and which hour. So it is important for us because it still goes air alarms and shellings even sometimes during the day, so that we do not create the long queues in front of our offices, day centers. So every person, our family will come exactly for the same date and hour. So we have this big 3-day centers from where we give humanitarian aid, and now we created the holistically services. The people can go there as well, consultations. There are psychologists who can help them. We start to provide and look together with these people about employment, how they can get employment in the city where they are, because these people who are coming to these day centers, mostly they are internally displaced people who live in Kiev, Kharkiv, or Odessa. And then we organized as well in these cities hostels for mother and babies who are running away from the front line in Kharkiv and Odessa. And in Kiev, this is our hostel programs. And we took this experience from UK when you had COVID, and a lot of homeless people were on the streets, and they didn't. The hotel welcomed them to the empty rooms and empty place. So we use this model and experience. Now we are happy that we can provide for these special categories of people, especially mother and families. It is our another response to that. Then we saw how traumatized are people, and especially children who survived shellings and bombarding in their cities. So it was very clear for us it's not only food people need. At the beginning as well, like I met many people, they were so traumatized. They said, "Father, my stomach is so, how do you call it? Zhati. I don't know. I'm not able to eat, even because my stomach doesn't work because this trauma and fear." So after your psychologist talked to me, I got a little bit regards that I can live again. So we discovered this is as well a very big challenge for us to help children, and we created the same way in these 3 cities for children of internally displaced people, for their children programs, social programs, and to work with the trauma. So it is our dimension in which we started to answer to the needs. And as well, we do still run all our, we call them historical services for homeless people, like night shelters, outreach with hot meals for them, all kinds of consultations, hygiene, and first medical care. It is in our daily services in Kharkiv, Odessa, Kiev. And then, of course, our criminal justice services that we work in prisons. And in Kharkiv region, for example, we remain only organization who still works during the war with the prisons as well, with those categories of people who we serve outside. And this is our work. And as well, it is still very need for winterization. Like, Kharkiv is the city, how they call it. It is the city without windows. So many people who are there, because of the shellings of this bombardment, most of the flats in the north part of city is still without windows. Even we replaced a lot of them for the people who are there, but this is our dimension of our services to people during the war.
I was going to ask you also, how do you try to relax when you're not working? We've just heard about what's going on and all the programs that DePaul is running and how much services are needed by the people. How do you as a person try to relax? Can you relax? What do you do?
You have to. I learned, after, not from the beginning. From the beginning, everybody was giving me this, and not only me, all our team. You have to relax. We have to relax. So we were thinking because of the war. There is no time for relax. Everybody was thinking after victory we will be relaxing. But after more than 18 months of war, ongoing war, so we were at the beginning a little bit naive. We were thinking it will be finished very soon. So we will relax after. And when we saw the war is continuing and demand is still growing and it's bigger, so we have to start, and thanks to CAFOD as well, I have to say, they started to question us, what's about well-being of your staff and yourself? You still want to continue, how do you relax? So, and then we started, personally, I have to return back to my lifestyle, like meditation, prayer. They have this time every day, to refresh your mind, your heart, your spirit. And then, of course, I started to find regularly time when I started, for example, to walk every day for 7 kilometers, just to walk, just to go away with my empty minds, to reflect, or even to pray rosaries, to have this time. And of course, like 2 months ago, I took first time holidays after war started. So I just took my motorbike, dirty bike, and I went to mountains for 2 weeks.
So you like riding motorbikes?
Oh, it is from my childhood. It follows me.
Okay.
Everywhere I am, the bikes follows me to my mission.
Could you just describe those mountains that you just spoke about? It sounds like it must be very beautiful.
Yes, Carpathian Mountains are very beautiful. So, and I'm happy, I'm privileged that I was born there. But you never had time to go. For example, every mountain has his own name, his own history and story, and maybe stories around it. And so it's interesting to go on the top of it and to look on your country from the top of every mountain. So it was my aim, like at least to take this last holidays I had to stay there. Our Daughters of Charity, they have small chapel and house up in on the highest village, exactly in the mountains. So I ordered this little house with the chapel, so I could hide myself there and stay with God and nature.
Do you feel like going through this experience, has it sort of increased how you feel about God and your spirituality and your faith?
The most you face evil, and war is the biggest evil for me. The most you know what is God about and how good, and how if we want to overcome and fight with evil, without God's help, you are not able to do this, because there are awful things that's happening during the war, and we see. And I see personally I don't talk for others, but it is a big refuge and a big support, and big if I'm do not connect this relationship with God in my daily life as a priest, like Holy Mass, as I said, daily prayer, and this practice that we have, prayer of the Church. So this is for us, it's very now the war undertakes the real values, and where is these real values? And if you don't have them, who you are in front of this all evil and what's happening to us, you are just empty and can be victim of this, or become one part of this or evil.
Do you find that a lot of people are coming to Mass more during this period?
Yes, in some regions we see it. For example, our parish, St. Vincent de Paul parish in Kharkiv, I think 80% of our parishioners run away from Kharkiv, and they are now as refugees in all countries around Europe. But those people who were living around the church, they were never Catholic. They came to parish. So building is not empty now. They said, we don't know your right, but we want to pray, that you pray and raise our prayers to God, because you stayed with us as a church, as a parish. You helped us during the most difficult time in Kharkiv. They said your building saved our physical life, because 150 people were under the church in the basement when was the biggest shelling on this part of the city. And then they ask us, like, help us to save our souls. So it is only example on our parish. We were thinking in the beginning, so we lose the parish, for what will be this building serving now? But it is not truth. The God providence leads and have his own plans for us.
Do you have a message for the UK supporters?
Well, it's not a message, but it is my humble thanks that you stay with us, you support us all this time. And many times when I reflect this, I say it's more about you than about us. Yes, we need help. We are in very, very danger and a very hard situation. But you who believe, for example, in peace, who believe in freedom, in these values that we have a right to live on our land and decide how we want to live, you believe in it and you support this movement. Your people who are supporting us from the beginning. So it is my message is first of all I'm very humbly and thank all of you because through this support, through this aid of donations, you say as well for us who you are and how important it is to support as well and to be not indifferent to others, especially if they are in need.
What gives you hope for the people of Ukraine?
It's already hope that we didn't start the war. We started that movement to be out from this dictatorship of this Russia who want to decide our destiny. We decided no, we are not want to be part of it. We want to belong to the civilized world and to the European Union community and the values. And we started this process. Was like that we as a nation could stand for these values. And even we paid the biggest price because lives of many of us, but it is for freedom. It is for to live our life of our land and to decide for ourselves who we can. So this is the hope that finally, because this war didn't start 2022, it was started 2014. We had many revolutions before this when we were trying to change this general vector of our society. And finally we started this. And it is already the hope that we could stand up. Georgia tried this, and it was frozen conflict until now. Moldova and Transnistria, we see other countries, but we stand and we still fight for this value of freedom.
So I was going to also ask you, what are your hopes for the future? But I guess it's tied to what you just said there, to have freedom.
So our hope that we become a normal civil society country with the strong civil society, and with the freedom, so this is the biggest hope, and we want to belong, like to that part of the world. And it is until we fight, there is still hope.
Thank you so much, Father Vitali, for joining us today and for sharing your inspirational journey and shedding some light on the extraordinary work that's carried out by DePaul International in Ukraine.
Thank you. We made it together.
Yes, we did.